Hello everyone, welcome to What If Tomioka Giyuu was last survivor of moon-breathing and loved Shinobu movie. Before we start, please go support Lgabo9778 for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistaken character's gender, but of course Giyuu is a male. The Tomioka family seems like a normal family, but in the past they had a song that meant two things. If one member of the Tomioka family sang it and their soulmate could unknowingly repeat the rest of the song, they were destined to be together and they had a chance of having a child with a moon-breathing ability. Many demons, seeing this, went to kill the family to eliminate the threat, but there were two survivors. One of them died, leaving only one. Tomioka Giyuu. Many people believed that such a thing did not exist, and over time they forgot about that legend. Chapter 1. Giyuu Tomioka was a very reserved, quiet, and solitary man. He was the water pillar, and almost everyone hated him for being arrogant. But the truth was, he suffered every day because of the deaths of his sister and his friend. All he had left of his friend was his Aori, but in his sister's case, he didn't carry a specific object, but rather a song passed down through generations. The song was Moonchild, and Tomioka would sing it from time to time at night in a small field with a lake that reflected the moon. He never believed in the legend of the song. He only sang it to remember his sister. And so was Tomioka Giyuu, the water pillar. At this moment, he was on a mission with his partner, Shinobu Kacho. While he didn't mind her presence, he was annoyed that she bothered him at every opportune moment for no reason. But at this moment, he was searching for a demon that caused a lot of fear in a village. Shinobu. Tomioka-san, do you think the demon is around here? She said with a fake smile that she always showed. Tomioka. That's the most likely scenario according to the information. He said seriously, listening attentively for any movement he heard. Shinobu. That makes sense. But that said, they continued searching and found him. This was a simple demon without any blood abilities, so Tomioka quickly cut off his head with his katana. Tomioka. We're done, he said seriously without showing any expression, then walked away without paying attention to his companion. Shinobu. Tomioka-san, can I ask you something? Upon hearing that, Tomioka said nothing and simply nodded. Shinobu. Well, the master told me to let you know that we'll be having a meeting with the other pillars to talk about something called Son of the Moon. Do you happen to know anything about it? Tomioka. I don't know anything about that, he said seriously, but deep down he was surprised how the boss knew about his family's song and why he wanted to talk about it at the meeting. Shinobu. Wow, you're so direct, that's why everyone hates you, Tomioka-san. Tomioka. Nobody hates me, he said it, but he knew it was true. Neither of them uttered a word on the way back. Tomioka was nervous. If the boss knew that he knew the song, he would surely make him sing it and he didn't want to. This song belonged to his family and he wanted to keep it for himself. When they both arrived, they went to the meeting with the boss and saw everyone gathered there. Rengoku. Why have you called us, Oyakata-sama? Oyakata. Well, my children, I wanted to talk to you about a kind of song called Son of the Moon. Tsunemi. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Oyakata-sama, but what good will that song do us? Oyakata. Well, you see, that song was only known by one family that is now dead, but there are rumors that one of them is alive, and if he is alive, he will be able to sing the song. Yuzui. I'm sorry Akata-sama, but what good will that do us? Oyakata. Well, you see, according to what I understand, this family sang the song for two reasons. One was to find their partner. It is believed that if they know the song without having heard it, they are destined to be together. The other reason is that if they have a child, this child will have some chance of having lunar breathing. Mitsuri. That sounds very nice. Biguro. So that song is like a spell to have that breathing. Oyakata. Yes, according to some reports from other hunters, many people talked about this, and according to one of them, a person claimed to have heard a young man singing that song. Rengoku. So he wants us to investigate if he's still there. Oyakata. Yes, if you find him, tell him I want to talk to him. Meanwhile, Tomioka was cursing himself. He had to be careful around him so that no one would hear him. Now he was in trouble knowing that they would be looking for him, but he was thankful that they hadn't seen him. Oyakata. Well, that's all. When you go on a mission, I want you to ask the villages if they heard anyone singing that song. Everyone? Yes, Oyakata-sama. Almost everyone went on a mission, others stayed behind to go to nearby villages to see if they heard anyone singing, while Tomioka pretended to ask some people so they wouldn't suspect anything, and that's how it was, and everyone reported that no one heard anyone singing, but someone arrived. Michiro. I'm sorry for being late, but I have information. Everyone paid attention, especially Tomioka, who didn't want too much information. Michiro. Well, according to a nearby village, they say that one night they heard someone singing Son of the Moon, but they don't remember where. Oyakata. That information is valuable, at least we know he's still alive. With this information, they can withdraw. When they left, Tomioka discreetly quickened his pace so they wouldn't follow him. He was thinking that he shouldn't be more careful when he sang. As night fell, Tomioka waited until no one saw him and went to his favorite place, a field with a lake and a cherry tree. It was calm, and he thought for a moment about singing, and without hesitation, he began. Tomioka. Only a fool wouldn't understand. The legend tells of a gypsy woman who conjured the moon until dawn, weeping as she begged that when day broke, she might marry a gypsy man. You will have your man, dark-skinned one. The full moon spoke from the sky. But in return I want the first son. You bear him. For she who sacrifices her son to avoid being alone will hardly love him. Moon, you want to be a mother. And you can't find love to make you a woman. Tell me, Silver Moon. What do you intend to do with a child of skin? Ah. Child of the moon. From a cinnamon-colored father was born a child. White as the back of an ermine. With grey eyes instead of olive. Albino child of the moon. Cursed be his image, this son is from a gypsy. And I won't keep quiet about it. Moon, you want to be a mother. And you can't find the love to make you a woman. Tell me, Silver Moon. What do you intend to do with a child of skin? Ah. Child of the moon. He was going to continue but felt a presence approaching and ran away so they wouldn't see him. The person approaching was Shinobu, who claimed to hear someone singing. Shinobu? I could swear I heard someone singing. Upon seeing this, Tomioka saw his opportunity to avoid being mistaken for him and decided to go there as if he had overheard someone. He began walking somewhat quickly to avoid raising suspicion, and when he arrived, he saw Shinobu looking around the place. Shinobu? Oh, hello Tomioka-san, she said with her typical smile. He simply raised his hand in greeting. Shinobu? What are you doing here? Weren't you following me? She said to tease him. Tomioka. I came because I heard someone singing nearby. Shinobu. It seems we heard the same thing. Tomioka. Since there's nothing here, I'm leaving. Shinobu. Wow, you really don't appreciate beautiful places. Tomioka. I've been here before, so I'm not surprised by the place, he said seriously and started walking. But that said, he simply left, making sure that no one suspected him. Chapter 2. A week had passed since Tomioka managed to make them not suspect him, and in that week they hadn't obtained any information about him, which pleased him. He saw how many were giving up on finding the one who sang Son of the Moon, and how he knew that no one would be near his favorite place, so he could calmly sing the song to remember his sister. It was night and everyone was on a mission, and he was there because Oyakata asked him to be on the lookout in case he heard someone singing. The good thing was that he no longer needed to be on the lookout and could sing freely, but just in case, he had a black cloak that covered his entire face and body. Even though he knew everyone was on a mission, he didn't want to take any risks. Meanwhile, the pillars had already finished their missions and met on the road and walked to be alert in case an upper moon appeared, but Shinobu offered to go to the place she found, or rather, Tomioka's favorite place. They all agreed and went there, and as they were about to enter they noticed someone sitting on the grass and hid. No one could see his face, but they heard that he was about to sing. Tomioka. Fool is he who doesn't understand. The legend tells that a gypsy woman conjured the moon until dawn. Weeping, she begged that when day came, she could marry a gypsy man. You will have your man, dark-skinned one. Spoke the full moon from the sky. But in return, I want the first son. You bear him. For she who sacrifices her child to avoid being alone will hardly love him. Moon, you want to be a mother. Yet you find no love to make you a woman. Tell me, Silver Moon. What do you intend to do with a child of skin? Ah. Son of the moon, from a cinnamon-skinned father, a child was born. White as the back of an ermine. With grey eyes instead of olive. Albino child of the moon. Cursed be his image, this child is a non-gypsy's. And I won't keep quiet about it. Moon, you want to be a mother. Yet you find no love to make you a woman. Tell me, Silver Moon. What do you intend to do with a child of skin? Ah. Son of the moon, the gypsy, believing himself dishonored, went to his wife, knife in hand. Whose child is this? You've definitely cheated on me. And he mortally wounded her. Then he fled to the mountains with the child in his arms. And there he abandoned him. Moon, you want to be a mother. And you can't find a love to make you a woman. Tell me, Silver Moon. What do you intend to do with a child of skin? Ah. Son of the moon, and on nights when there is a full moon. It will be because the child is happy. And if the child cries, the moon will wane to make him a cradle. And if the child cries, The moon will wane to make him a cradle. When she finished singing, many of them were surprised to hear such a wonderful song, but when she finished singing she was about to leave, but Tsunemi, who was happy to find the one they had searched for so long, was in front of them. Tsunemi. Hey you. Our boss wants to talk to you. Tomioka didn't expect that, and with a quick movement he ran away, but he realized that all the pillars heard him, and he had to run faster because they were all following him, until he managed to hide his presence and conceal himself from the others, but he was taken by surprise by Rengoku, who saw him hiding and caught him. Everyone smiled at that and wanted to know who was behind the cloak, but Tomioka, in a desperate attempt to get away, kicked Rengoku in the stomach, making him let go and ran away. But some noticed an eye as blue as the sea and a lock of black hair, and Shinobu couldn't help but think of a certain quiet companion. But he was surprised again by Himejima, who caught him in his arms, and he could do nothing. Many of them wanted to take off his cloak, but decided to lock him up to see who he was tomorrow. Meanwhile, Tomioka fell asleep in his prison, unable to do anything and very nervous about his identity being revealed, but he could do nothing but wait. The next day, two pillars were holding Tomioka as they took him before the master. Everyone was very serious as they watched the subject say and do nothing. Oyakata. Well, to start, I want to see your face, so please remove your cloak. As he said that, Tsunemi, who was standing next to him, removed his cloak, and everyone watched in surprise as the person they had always been looking for was always with them. They realized it was Tomioka, the water pillar. Oyakata. Tomioka. Tomioka. He said nothing and even less wanted to talk to the boss. Tsunemi. Call me trash because you didn't tell us that you were the one we were looking for. Tomioka. Tsunemi. Answer. Oyakata. Tsunemi, calm down, leave him alone, but why didn't you ever tell us anything, Tomioka? Tomioka. I wanted to keep this a secret because the song Son of the Moon belongs only to my family, or rather, right now it's only my property. Oyakata. Tomioka, you know that with it you could help us defeat Muzan. Tomioka. I will not let them use my family's song as a weapon for their own benefit. Guru. What are you saying? You know that song would save us a lot of work in defeating Muzan. Tomioka. As I said, I will not allow them to use it as their weapon. Everyone was looking at him, annoyed by how he was acting right now. Oyakata. I understand your point of view, Tomioka, but I want to know if the two things they say about the song are true. Tomioka. I'm sorry to tell you this, but I think they're false. My sister and I, being the only survivors and knowing that song, didn't see that it was true. My sister sang it near some people, but nothing happened. And if the first one isn't true, the second one is even less so, because for the second one to be true, the first one would have to be mandatory. Oyakata. And have you tried it? Upon hearing that, everyone remembered how he used to sing that song, but they also remembered that he sang it alone, with no one around besides them. Tomioka. No, because I don't believe in those things and I only sing it to remember my sister. Oyakata. I see, I'm sorry I caused you so much trouble, Tomioka. Tomioka. I'm sorry too, but understand that I wanted to be used to create the moon repair, even though I still think it doesn't exist. After that, Tomioka was released and started to leave, not to his house, but to his favorite place, since he didn't want to talk to anyone. However, a certain girl with purple tips followed him because she found it interesting to know that about his family. Chapter 3. Tomioka was in his favorite place, thinking about everything that happened that day. He didn't want to see his comrades anymore, and he assumed none of them wanted to see him. He didn't know what to do anymore. He was at a crossroads where he had to choose between two paths. One was to stay in the organization and be hated even more than before, or to retire and never see them again. Those thoughts were interrupted by a girl with purple streaks in her hair. This was Shinobu, who became interested in her companion. Shinobu. Ara Tomioka-san, I didn't know you could sing. Tomioka. He did not respond to what she said, he assumed that she hated him and did not want to talk, besides he thought that she was only going to bother him. Shinobu. Are you listening to me, Tomioka-san? She said with a vein throbbing in her forehead. Tomioka. What do you want, Kacho-san? He said without any expression on his face. Shinobu. I came to tell you that you can't say that nobody hates you anymore. She said it to annoy him. Tomioka. Kacho-san, if you're here to bother me, I ask you to leave. He said very angrily. Shinobu. Wow, you've changed a lot, but speaking of other things, why didn't you tell me you could sing? Tomioka. It wasn't my obligation to tell them. Shinobu. Well, thank you, because now I have a song to sing to my girls. When he said that, Tomioka couldn't help but let out a small laugh. Shinobu. What are you laughing at? She said, smiling but annoyed. Tomioka. Well, even if you've heard the song, you can't sing it, or rather, you've probably already forgotten about it. Shinobu. That's impossible, you'll see I can sing it. After saying that, Shinobu tried to remember the lyrics of the song, but nothing came to mind. Shinobu. Because I can't remember. Tomioka. I told you, and you can't remember because that song can only be sung by members who share the same blood as my family. Shinobu. But why? Tomioka. Well, my family seems to sing it in a normal accent that everyone understands, but people won't remember it, and if they do, they'll just hear a strange language. In other words, the song is in another language that no one knows except me. Shinobu. Wow, that's kind of unfair, but I won't deny that it's a beautiful song. Tomioka. If that's all, I'm leaving. But that said, Tomioka left, and the time he spent with Shinobu gave him time to think about whether to stay or not, and he ended up deciding that he would leave, so he went to see the boss to tell him about his retirement. On the way, he received hateful looks from his companions. In his mind, he was glad not to have to endure those looks. When he arrived, he waited patiently for the boss, and then he appeared and sat down to talk. Oyakata. What's wrong, Tomioka? Tomioka. Oyakata-sama, I came here to ask to leave the Demon Slayer Corps. Oyakata. But why? Tomioka. After what happened at the meeting, I don't think the others want to feel my presence. Oyakata. I understand what you mean, but you can't leave the Hunter Corps so quickly. You'll need to work with the others for 3 months to fully complete your task. Tomioka. I understand, Oyakata-sama, but I would like to request that this not be made public because I don't think anyone will care if I leave, so there won't be that need. Oyakata. I understand, but in this 3-month period you can think about whether to stay or leave. Tomioka. I understand, thank you for your understanding. But that said, Tomioka left the room and went back to his favorite spot, hoping Shinobu had left. He was right. Shinobu had left, and he was able to relax after what had happened that day. But now he had to endure the other pillars in order to retire from the Demon Slayer Corps, and he thought this time it would be more difficult than the previous times because of what had happened. The next day, Tomioka was summoned for a mission alongside Iguro. He didn't want to go, but he had to, and with great annoyance, he got ready to go to the entrance. Once there, he saw Iguro waiting in a tree and simply waved. He didn't want to talk. He knew everyone hated him because of what had happened. Then he left with Iguro, heading towards a village where they said a demon had killed several hunters. On the way, neither of them spoke, they just walked. Iguro glanced at him with disdain from time to time, but Tomioka didn't notice and just kept walking. After a while, they walked until they reached a train station. They both bought their tickets and boarded the train to take their seats. They were in a very awkward silence. Tomioka was only thinking about how to kill the demon, while Iguro was thinking the same thing, but every now and then he thought about the song Tomioka had sung. He tried to remember the lyrics but couldn't, and if he did, he only heard a kind of strange language. Iguro. Yes, Tomioka. Tomioka. What's going on? He asked with his typical face, but intrigued that she was talking to him. Iguro. Can you tell me the lyrics to your song? Tomioka. I'm sorry, but even if I tell you, you won't be able to remember anything. Iguro. What do you mean? He said, very annoyed by what she said. Tomioka. You must have noticed that you don't remember the lyrics, and if you do, you hear a different language, right? Iguro. How do you know that? Tomioka. Well, anyone who isn't family won't be able to remember the song, and why did you want to know the lyrics? Iguro. Well, that surprises me, and I won't answer your question. Tomioka. Irapara Kanroji-san though. Upon hearing that, Iguro blushed, but it wasn't noticeable because of his bandages. Iguro. Don't talk nonsense. Tomioka. You can't fool me, Iguro. I know you have feelings for Kanroji-san. Iguro. And no, that's not true. Tomioka. Then I won't tell you the method by which you can learn the song. Iguro. Wait, there was a method he said, surprised. Tomioka. If you want me to tell you. Iguro. Yes, please. Tomioka. Well, this won't last long, but this is like a blood pact. On any wounds you have, I will have to put a few drops of my blood and you will be able to learn the song, but you can only use it 3 times. Iguro. But why only 3 times? Tomioka. You don't have my family's blood, but you'll be able to know the song forever if your soulmate appears one of those 3 times, so to speak. Iguro. And how do you know that? Tomioka. Something like that happened on a mission with a man who found his partner thanks to the song, or so he told me, then I tried it with another man and I saw how he could only sing it 3 times. Iguro. But didn't you say that story in the song was false? Tomioka. For me it's false, and I don't know if it works because I think that event only happened by chance. Iguro. Well, thanks for that. Although he wouldn't admit it, he liked Tomioka more. This was the first time he had spoken to him as if they were friends, and the truth was that he began to trust him more. Chapter 4. After Tomioka and Aguro's conversation, the train arrived. They both got off and quickly went to the village to ask where the demon was. Most people said it was in the forest, but they had called many hunters and none had returned. With that information, they both went to the forest and heard something moving. There they saw the demon. It had a feminine appearance, but it had 6 arms, each wielding the katanas of the other hunters. Tomioka. Are you ready? Aguro. Yes. And so they began to fight the demon. It gave them trouble because of the katanas it had, but Aguro saw an opening and quickly went to cut off its head. He managed to cut off its head, but before disappearing, the demon threw all of its katanas at Aguro. He couldn't do anything because he was distracted at that moment. He just closed his eyes waiting for the impact. Aguro heard 2 katanas pierce his flesh, but he felt nothing, and when he opened his eyes, he saw something that surprised him. In front of him was Tomioka with 2 of the 6 katanas piercing him. One katana pierced his left shoulder, while the other pierced his leg. Aguro. Tomioka. Tomioka. What are you doing standing there, even though I'm wounded and taking advantage of the fact that my blood is falling? Aguro. What are you saying? You're hurt. Tomioka. I'll recover later in the village, right now we have to make the pact. Aguro was going to protest, but he understood that Tomioka would not listen, and so as not to waste time with his katana, he made a small cut, and Tomioka approached him with great effort and taking some of his blood placed it on Aguro's wound. When he did that, he told him they had to go to the village, but with great pain, he pulled out the 2 katanas that were embedded in him. Aguro helped him walk, since he was losing a lot of blood. When they came out of the forest they saw many villagers waiting for them to come out, some saw them walking, but others saw one of them bleeding and quickly went to help them. When the villagers arrived, they saw Tomioka walking with great difficulty while shedding a lot of blood. Tomioka could no longer go on due to the blood loss and fainted. When everyone saw this, they carried him to a lodging where he was treated, but it was no use, so Aguro told his crow to tell the master to send a medical team to treat Tomioka's wounds. Meanwhile, at the master's house, he was calm until a crow entered and told him what happened, and he was about to give orders, but the insect pillar who was heading towards the master's house to ask for a mission, heard what the crow said and became worried. Shinobu. Oyakata-sama, allow me to go to Tomioka-san and Aguro-san's mission. Oyakata. That's fine, Shinobu, your medicine will surely help him. But that said, Shinobu went to her estate to prepare for the mission. She quickly left for the train station and without waiting bought a ticket to board the train. The information she heard was very little. She only heard that the water pillar had suffered very serious injuries, but she hoped they were not too severe. When she arrived, she went straight to the village and asked if there was a hunter around. A villager told her that he was at a farm but was too injured. Shinobu's concern grew because of the murmurs the villagers were saying that a hunter had arrived bleeding. She arrived at the estate and when she entered her eyes widened upon seeing Tomioka being treated to stop the bleeding from the large wounds he had on his shoulder and leg, while Aguro looked worried. Shinobu. How did this happen? As he said that, Aguro turned around and saw Shinobu and explained what happened, from what the demon was like to how Tomioka got involved to defend him. Shinobu. We mustn't waste any time. But that said, Shinobu took out some bottles with different colored liquids, took a wet cloth, applied the liquid, and began to heal him. When he finished healing Tomioka, he just sat next to Aguro and they waited for him to wake up. The wounds were very deep and difficult to heal, which is why he took so long to wake up and he had also lost a lot of blood. Shinobu. I know you had problems. Aguro. Yes, but I hope he wakes up soon. Shinobu. And since when do you care about him? I thought you hated him. Aguro. I hated him, but because of the favor he did me, I trust him more. Shinobu. And what favor did he do you? She said, intrigued by what he said. Aguro. You might remember Tomioka's song. Shinobu. I'm sorry but no, I asked her why and she told me that only members of her family can sing it. Aguro. He told me the same thing, but he knows a way for someone who isn't family to sing it. Shinobu. And can we know which one it is? Aguro. I'm sorry but I can't tell you, I'll just say that I can sing the song now but only 3 times, according to what Tomioka told me. Shinobu. And why did you want to know the song? Weren't their stories supposed to be unreal? Aguro. Tomioka thinks that, but he knows I have feelings for Mitsuri-san, and even though he thought it wasn't real, he gave me the opportunity to sing it to find out if it's real and to be with Mitsuri if she's my soulmate. Shinobu. Wow, I never thought Tomioka-san was so friendly to others. Aguro. I'm surprised too, I think it's because we discovered that he was the one we were looking for. Shinobu. I don't think that's it. It seems there's another reason we don't know about. Aguro. I think you're right, but knowing him, I don't think he'll tell us. Shinobu. Well, at least you know the song. Aguro. I think so. Shinobu. You can sing it. Aguro. I guess nothing will happen, I'll still have 2 attempts to find out if Mitsuri is the right one. Shinobu. Then sing it. Meguro. Singing, you should already know the lyrics. Shinobu. I really like that song, and we confirmed that Tomioka wasn't lying. Meguro. Yes. After saying that, they both saw Tomioka begin to wake up, but very slowly because he was exhausted. Tomioka. What happened? Meguro. You fainted from blood loss, the boss sent Shinobu to heal you. Tomioka. I see, thank you Kacho-san. Shinobu. Wow, this is the first time you thanked me, she said with a smile, but surprised that Tomioka thanked her. A while passed and Tomioka was able to move enough to walk to the train station. The 3 of them went to the train station, but Tomioka sat in different seats, while Shinobu and Aguro sat in the same place. Chapter 5. A day had passed since Tomioka and Aguro went on that mission. The 2 had gained some trust in each other, but at this moment Aguro is looking for Mitsuri, even though Tomioka told him that he didn't believe in that story about the song, he still wanted to try. But this time he only had 2 chances to find out, because the first time he sang was to see if it had really worked. He kept walking until he found her. Aguro. Hello Kanroji-san. Mitsuri. Oh, hello Aguro-san, what happened? Aguro. Well, you'll see, stay put and come with me to a place. Mitsuri. Sure, no problem. So Aguro took her to Tomioka's favorite place. He thought it would be a good place to test the logic of the song. Mitsuri. Excuse me, Aguro-san, but why did you bring me here? Aguro. Well, you see, Tomioka did me a favor to find something out. Mitsuri. And what did he do for you? Aguro. You'll know it. So he began to sing, he knew there was a chance it wouldn't work, but when he was halfway through the song, Mitsuri began to sing unconsciously. This surprised Aguro. He was the only one with whom Tomioka had shared his blood so that he could sing it, so that meant that the song did work and that Mitsuri was the one he was destined to be with. Aguro. So it wasn't a lie. Mitsuri. What do you mean and why do I sing? Aguro. Well, Tomioka told me that even if he sang it, no one would be able to remember the song, but he found a way for me to sing it, and even though he said that the stories about this song were false, I just proved that it wasn't a lie. Mitsuri. And how did you verify it? Aguro. Well, while I was in the middle of a song, you unconsciously started singing without realizing it. Mitsuri. That means she said it with her eyes open. Aguro. The song showed us that we are destined to be together. Saying that, Mitsuri went to hug Aguro very tightly. She was happy to know who her partner was, but her head clicked when she remembered that it was Tomioka who helped Aguro with that. Mitsuri. Aguro-kun, Tomioka really helped you. Aguro. Yes, Mitsuri, he helped me. He told me he saw something between us, and on the last mission I had with him, he said he would help me with that, and I'm truly grateful. Mitsuri. And aren't you forgetting something? She said, referring to the fact that she should thank Tomioka for helping him. Aguro. If I have to go and thank him. But that said, they both started to leave without knowing that someone was watching them. This was Tomioka who wanted to see how Aguro was doing with Mitsuri, and he was surprised that it worked. Tomioka. So it's not fake, but well, I've already accomplished one of my goals, now I just need to do the rest. But that said, he left to rest because he hadn't fully healed yet, but at least he wasn't so hated anymore. Before leaving, he wanted at least no one to hate them, but he would also try to make them happy by helping them with their problems, or by no longer being a bother to them. Tomioka. I don't know what to do anymore. Everyone is happy in their own way, but I know they're sad about something. But that said, he went home to rest, but on the way he ran into Shinobu. Tomioka tried to pass by as if nothing was wrong, but she noticed and started following him while teasing him. Shinobu. Nina Tomioka-san, don't ignore me, that's why everyone hates you. Tomioka. What does Kacho-san want? Shinobu. Aguro-san told me that you helped him with his relationship with Mitsuri-san, I never thought you were so friendly. Tomioka. And why is he interested in knowing that? Shinobu. Well, you're never like this with me. Tomioka. I only did it because otherwise he was going to hate me for what happened at the meeting, and I'm not like that with you because you bother me all the time for no reason. Shinobu. Are you sure about that? She said, wanting to know what he was hiding. Tomioka. Yes. Shinobu. Come on, Tomioka-san, there must be another reason. Tomioka. And why do you want to know, you hate me anyway? He said with the intention of ending that conversation. Shinobi. Well, you're right, but I want to know how you gave your song to Aguro. Tomioka. I won't tell you because I'll only give it to those who have a reason to have it. Shinobu. So you think I'm not worthy of knowing the song? She said with a vein throbbing in her head. Tomioka. Yes, and with that said he went home because he was already exhausted. The next day, Tomioka woke up and knew he didn't have a mission, so he went to his favorite food stall to eat his garlic salmon. He was peaceful until he heard someone approaching. Aguro. Hello Tomioka. Tomioka. What's wrong Aguro-san? Aguro. I came here to thank you for helping me with the Mitsuri issue. Tomioka. It's nothing, although I still think what the song does is a lie. He lied so they wouldn't suspect that he was watching them, although he was able to verify that it was true. Aguro. Well, the theme of the song is true since Mitsuri was able to sing it. Tomioka. And I see, if that's true, will the second thing about lunar breathing also be real? Aguro. I don't think so, I think that can only be with members who are completely your blood relatives. Tomioka. That makes sense. Aguro. All this because you helped me. Tomioka. That's not important. Aguro. Please Tomioka, you can trust me. Tomioka. I'll tell you, but don't tell anyone. Aguro. Okay. Tomioka. Well, I'm going to retire from the Hunter Corps. Aguro. But why? Tomioka. Well, everyone hates me because of what happened at the last meeting and I don't think they want to see me again. Aguro. I understand. Tomioka. But before I leave, I'll try to help others with their problems as much as I can, for example, your problem with the mark on your mouth. Aguro. As you know. Tomioka. I have my methods, well maybe I can't cure that wound, but at least I helped you find someone to help you with that trauma. Aguro. You really did it to help me. Tomioka. Yes, even if I don't talk to anyone, it doesn't mean I'm not worried. Aguro. Seriously, thank you very much. Tomioka. It's nothing, but remember not to tell anyone. Aguro. I promise. Chapter 6. After Tomioka's conversation with Aguro, he decided to go home to sleep as it was getting dark, but he saw a pillar in the distance. It was Takedo Michiro, the mist pillar, who was lost in thought. Takedo was thinking about what the name of a bird was, but by chance he turned to look beside him and in the distance he saw Tomioka walking home. Since there was no one to ask, he decided to approach him and ask. Takedo. Hey Tomioka. Tomioka. It's Tomioka he said with a drop of sweat on his forehead. Takedo. Well, what's the name of that bird? Tomioka. That's a crow. Takedo. Ah. Tomioka. Well, goodbye. Takedo. Wait, do you have any candy? Tomioka. I think so. So he searched his pockets for a chocolate bar he'd bought on the way because he'd had a craving, but he knew that Takedo was repressing his memories because of what had happened in his past. But how did Tomioka know that? Well, it was simple. When he told the master that he wanted to leave the organization, the master told him to try to help them with their traumas. He didn't know much about the others' problems, but he told him about some of the problems some pillars had, like Tsunemi and Shinobu's because of Kanni's death, Michiro's because of his brother's death, Iguro's because of his mark, but he knew nothing about the others. But returning to the present, Tomioka took out the chocolate he had made and saw that it was an opportunity to talk to Takedo. Tomioka. Michiro-san, can you tell me why he suppresses his memories? Michiro. I don't know what you're talking about he said without interest but somewhat surprised. Tomioka. Don't lie to me, Michiro-san. I know you're trying to forget what happened with your brother. Michiro. Shut up. Tomioka. I know you don't want to talk about it, but it's necessary because otherwise you'll suffer more. Michiro. If you say you can help me, then tell me what you can do. Tomioka. I know how it feels to lose a brother, or in my case it was my sister. Michiro. So you too. Tomioka. I'll tell you this, I'm not telling you to follow my advice, but I'm just saying that if your brother saw you, he would be angry because they are still alive in the memories and you are the only one who remembers him and if you continue to forget him, you will be killing him. Upon hearing that, Michiro's eyes widened. He hadn't known that could happen. He had thought all this time that forgetting about it would do him good. Tomioka. But the more you forget it, the more you hurt yourself by not showing emotions. Emotions are important. Emotions show you whether you'll be in danger or not. Without them, you'll just do things thinking you'll be fine without knowing the danger you face. Michiro. But you don't show your emotions either. Tomioka. And if I do show them, it's to a lesser extent because I know they are important. When he finished speaking, there was a very awkward silence, but when Tomioka was about to speak, he felt something hugging him, and he looked down and saw Michiro hugging him while crying. All that pain he felt was being released as he showed his emotions that were kept hidden deep inside him. Michiro. Thank you he said, still crying, but he felt a warmth with Tomioka, it was like hugging his brother again. Tomioka didn't know what to do, but he remembered he had to help him, so he hugged him too. A while passed, and Michiro fell asleep. Tomioka didn't know where Michiro's house was, so he took him to his own house and laid him down on a futon. He knew that releasing those emotions was painful, but he had to do it or else he would continue to hurt himself. The next day, Michiru woke up in an unfamiliar place, but he remembered talking to Tomioka yesterday and he couldn't help but shed a few tears and in a whisper he said. Michiru, thank you Tomioka. But that said, he began to look around and a smell became present and he walked carefully and saw Tomioka cooking salmon with a fan along with orange juice. Michiru. Tomioka. Tomioka. I see you've woken up. Michiru. What happened? Tomioka. You were crying after what I told you and I brought you here because you fell asleep, besides, I didn't know where you slept. Michiru. I see. Tomioka. Well, sit down, I've already made breakfast. He said, putting 2 plates on the table. After that, they both started eating breakfast. Michiru couldn't help but feel very good about the taste of the food. It tasted so good that he thought he would faint from how delicious it was. When they finished, Michiru went home and on the way he thought about what Tomioka had told him and he showed a smile that he hadn't shown in a long time. Now he could express his emotions, although it would be a little difficult for him to express himself, but he would be able to do it more often as time went on. Time skipped 2 months. In these 2 months, Tomioka had already resolved the problem of some pillars, such as Himejima, Michiru, Iguro, and even Rengoku, who helped him change his father for the better. The only ones left were Shinobu and Sanemi. He knew it would be a problem to try to help them, since of all the pillars, they were the ones who hated him the most, but if he wanted to retire, he had to help them. And he was somewhat lucky, so to speak, because he had a mission with Sanemi, but even though he had a mission with him, it would be difficult to start a conversation, but he would still try to help him. Sanemi. Hey trash, I don't want you to talk to me at any time, got it? Tomioka. He didn't say anything and just nodded. So they just walked until they reached their destination. It was a forest with too many trees that made it difficult for them to move freely, but they only advanced until they heard a flute. The melody was very calming and they suspected what it was and went to see and saw a demon playing a flute while some people walked towards him with different eyes, as if they were hypnotized. Sanemi. Let's kill him. Tomioka. Wait, put this on. Sanemi. And why would I do that? Tomioka. It seems his flute can hypnotize people. We don't fall for his tricks because we're training, but at some point he'll control us enough to kill us. Sanemi. Fine, he said angrily at having to disagree with Tomioka. And that's how they faced the demon. They had problems because they couldn't hear him, but they managed to defeat him. However, before dying, the demon attacked Sanemi, who was distracted because he thought they had finished him off. Demon. Die. Sanemi. What? Sanemi couldn't do anything because the demon was moving very fast and he couldn't do anything, but he saw something that surprised him. Tomioka. Water breathing 11th posture calm. But that said, Tomioka was able to block the demon's attack, but he couldn't completely avoid it as the demon scratched his chest. The cut was somewhat deep and exhausted, he fainted. Chapter 7. Darkness was all Tomioka saw. He didn't know where he was until he remembered what had happened and tried to wake up. He succeeded and saw Sanemi with an angry face, but he didn't understand why, but his doubts were resolved. Sanemi. Because you helped me. Tomioka. I had to do it because otherwise you could die and I didn't want that, besides you are important to the other pillars. Sanemi. I don't understand you. Tomioka. Well, taking advantage of this, I wanted to talk about something. Sanemi. About what? Tomioka. You liked Kani, didn't you? Sanemi. And what's it to you? Tomioka. I know you're still hurting that he died and I want to talk about it. Sanemi. Get to the point, you bucking idiot. Tomioka. Look, I don't know much about relationships or what love for another person is, but I can tell you that I knew Kani a little and she felt the same way about you. Sanemi. And how do I know you're not lying? Tomioka. What good would it do me to lie to you, but I'm telling you that the way you act is because you don't want to be seen as weak, but I know that you are a kind-hearted person to others, including your brother. After that there was a very awkward silence, but Sanemi was surprised by what Tomioka said, and although that helped him, he still hated him. Sanemi. Don't talk nonsense, you're healed now so move it. But that said, they both left, neither saying anything, but in Tomioka's mind he was telling himself that it had been a long time since he had sung his family's song, but he would sing it after he fixed the last problem, which was Shinobu's. He knew it would be even more difficult because she wanted revenge on the demon who killed her sister, so it would be much harder. When they arrived, Tomioka offered to go and give the report and Sanemi trusted him because of what he said. Tomioka. Oyakata-sama, the mission was completed. Oyakata. I understand, Tomioka, but tell me, do you still want to retire from the organization? Tomioka. Yes, as I said before, everyone hates me and I would be a nuisance. Oyakata. I understand and tell me, have you helped the other pillars yet? Tomioka. I don't know if I should say I helped them, but you could say that I did. Oyakata. I see, thank you for helping them. After that, Tomioka went home, thinking about what to do to help Shinobu, which would be very difficult, but he had some hope of achieving something. Meanwhile, elsewhere Sanemi went to the butterfly estate to talk to Shinobu about what happened on the mission with Tomioka. Shinobu. Oh, what's wrong, Sanemi? Sanemi. I want you to help me get revenge on Tomioka. Shinobu. What did that idiot do? Sanemi. He told me something about your sister, it wasn't anything bad, but it makes me angry that he talks about her like it's normal. Shinobu. And what do you want me to do? Sanemi. Since I know he lacks affection for someone, I thought you could pretend to like him and then break his heart. Shinobu. I don't like the idea, but if it's about resolving something with my sister, I'll do it. Sanemi. Okay. But that said, Shinobu went to Tomioka's house to put the plan into action. When she arrived, she knocked on the door and saw Tomioka open it with his typical cold expression. Shinobu. Hold it, Tomioka-san. Tomioka. What's wrong, Kacho-san? Shinobu. Well, I want to tell you something, but can I come in? Tomioka. Okay. Shinobu. Wow, this place is rather empty. Tomioka. Go to the point, Kacho-san. Shinobu. Well, I wanted to tell you that I like you. Tomioka was a little surprised by what Tomioka said, but he realized it was a lie. With the time he spent on missions with the others, he had learned to differentiate between truth and lies, so he got angry and assumed it was Sanemi's idea, since the others had nothing against him. Tomioka. You're lying, aren't you, Kacho-san? Shinobu was surprised by what was said, and to make it seem more real, she remembered the moments with her sister and how she died, and she began to cry and speak. Shinobu. How can you say that? I'm telling you this because I like you and I wanted to tell you because I could die at any moment. Tomioka. Don't try to deceive me, Kacho-san. I already know how to differentiate between what is true and what is a lie. Shinobu. Well, you finally know that. Tomioka. If that was all, you can go. Shinobu. Not so fast, maybe I didn't deceive you, but I'll make you pay for talking about my sister. Tomioka. So Sanemi told him. Shinobu. It's y'all. Tomioka. If he wants to kill me, it won't be necessary, he won't see me again very soon anyway. Shinobu. What do you mean? Tomioka. I won't tell her, but I will tell her something, he said, taking advantage of the situation to try to help Shinobu. Tomioka. I know you're angry all the time, your smile doesn't fool me. I know you want to avenge your sister, and I'm telling you, I know that dying to avenge your sister isn't the solution. In fact, from what little I knew of Kani-san, I know she would want you to live, but without having to die to avenge her. Shinobu. You don't know anything. Tomioka. It's your decision whether to believe me or not, Kacho-san. Now please leave. But that said, Shinobu left very angry and thought about how to get revenge on Tomioka and thought that he threw her out because he had something valuable in his house and waited until night to see what he had. When night fell, Tomioka went to his favorite place because he hadn't sung in a while. At that moment, Shinobu entered to see what Tomioka had and saw a closed notebook on a table. She opened it and saw that it was Tomioka's diary. She thought that it would be very embarrassing for him if his secrets were known, and she left and organized a meeting with the other pillars. Rengoku. Que paso, Shinobu-san? Shinobu. Well, as you know, many of us hate Tomioka for making us look for him, since he didn't tell us that he was the one from the song, so I thought of a way to get revenge on him. Biguro. And what would that revenge be like? He said angrily, since he considered Tomioka like a brother after helping him. Shinobu. Well, I got his diary and I thought he would leave if we knew his secrets. Sanemi. This is interesting. Mitsuri. I don't think it's a good idea. Michiro. I agree with Mitsuri-san, he said angrily, although he didn't show it. Shinobu. Oh come on, this will be fun. Many refused, but in the end they couldn't be convinced and began to read Tomioka's diary. Tomioka's diary. I'm writing this to put down what I think, but I don't know if it'll help, but I'll start. Today I had a mission with Kacho-san and she asked me if I knew my family's song. That surprised me, but then she told me that the boss wanted to have a meeting about it. I'm nervous because I don't want them to know it's me. It's been a few days since the meeting where they found out who was behind the song, and now everyone hates me more than ever. I have to think about whether to leave or not, although it's more convenient for me to retire, but I still have to think about it. I've already made my decision, I'm going to retire, but the boss told me I had to wait 3 months while I do missions with the others, but he also told me to help them with their traumas. I agree with that, even though I don't show it. I appreciate them a lot because they are all very strong, and they will need to overcome those things. It's been a while and I was able to help Iguro with his brand. The idea I had to help him is for him to be with Kanroji-san. This isn't an idea I just had. I've had it for a long time. When I was little, my sister told me about what it's like when two people are in love, and to be honest, I saw that they would make a good couple. I wish I could go to their wedding, but I won't be able to because I'm going to retire. I already helped Michiro with his trauma from his brother. He's suffering a lot and I don't want that. I know he's trying to suppress his memories, so I'll have to help him urgently. I already helped him, and to be honest, I see him as a little brother. But I saw Sabito in him. He's somewhat similar to him. I've already helped the other pillars, now I only have Sanemi and Kacho-san left. These will be difficult, but I'll help them as quickly as I can, since I have less than a week left to help them. Well, this is possibly the last thing I'll write. In a way, I managed to help Sanemi, but I don't know if I helped Shinobu. It seems she despises me more than ever, and that hurt. I feel something with her that I haven't felt in a long time, but I won't dwell on it. There's nothing left for me to do. I'll be gone soon. I had a good time with some of them, but I'd only be in their way. I wish I had died instead of Sabito and Makomo. End of Tomioka's diary. When it was over, many of them were crying. The guy everyone initially hated was the one who cared the most about others. Nobody said anything, they just cried because of what Tomioka thought. And Shinobu was surprised by what she read. Now she felt something for Tomioka. She had unknowingly suppressed her feelings for him, and now she realized it. Chapter 8. After the other pillars read Tomioka's diary, they went in search of him, running while shedding tears. Everyone thought he was arrogant, but after reading his diary, they changed their minds about that. It seemed that he was a pure being, but no one understood him. Several minutes passed and no one could find Tomioka. Many saw that it was getting late and decided to go home. Everyone was hurting, but one in particular was hurting. Shinobu. Many times she thought she hated Tomioka, but after reading his diary, her opinion of him changed, and the pain was so strong that when she was in her bed, she began to cry loudly, but no one heard her cries. Just as everyone was about to go to sleep, they began to hear a song that was very familiar to the others. That song was Son of the Moon. Everyone knew that no one else besides Tomioka knew that song, so they quickly went to see where the song was coming from and noticed that it was the same place where they had seen him sing for the first time. Biguro. Do you know where he is? Shinobu. If he's in the same place where we found him singing. Ringoku. Then let's go quickly. But that said, everyone went and saw Tomioka sitting on the edge of the lake while singing. Several wanted to approach him, but when Tomioka was halfway through a song, surprisingly Shinobu also sang, but Tomioka was far enough away not to hear her. Many, seeing this, left to ask him. Ringoku. Shinobu, how do you know her song? Shinobu. I don't know, I just started singing. Biguro. I can tell you why. Shinobu. Dime. Biguro. You know that Tomioka's song has two legends, and the first is that if a person sings the song without knowing it, they are destined to be together. Sammy. But it wasn't that it wasn't working. Mitsuri. Biguro told me that Tomioka helped him get the song and sang it to me, and I sang it too without knowing it. That's why I'm his partner, because of what it means. Biguro. That Shinobu is Tomioka's soulmate. After saying that, Shinobu couldn't help but blush, and many were left with their mouths open. Shinobu. What? That can't be, I hate him. Biguro. If you really hate him, why did you sing? Shinobu. I don't know. Biguro. Shinobu, think carefully, you really hate him. When she said that, Shinobu searched her thoughts and began to remember the missions with Tomioka, how he worried about her, but without showing expression, and she remembered the moments when he and she were talking and remembered that on some occasions she felt a small attraction to him. Shinobu. I don't think so. Biguro. So tomorrow, when there's a meeting, you'll talk to him. Shinobu. Are you sure? Everyone. Yes. Shinobu. Okay. After that, everyone went home hoping to see Tomioka tomorrow and convince him not to leave. The next morning everyone got up and went to the meeting they had with Petron, and there they saw Tomioka with his typical expressionless face. Many wanted to talk to him, but the boss appeared and began to speak. Oyakata. Well, I have gathered you here to tell you that from today you will not have any Freemasons for a week, since the attacks of demons have decreased. Everyone. Understood, Oyakata-sama. Oyakata. But I want to talk to you, Tomioka. Tomioka. He just nodded. Oyakata. Tomioka, today and tomorrow are your last days as a hunter, are you sure about that? Tomioka. See Oyakata-sama. Oyakata. Well, it was a pleasure having you in the Hunter Corps. But that said, Tomioka left the house, but at the entrance he found Shinobu with a genuine smile, which surprised Tomioka, but he didn't show it. Tomioka. What's wrong, Kacho-san? Shinobu. Tomioka-san, can we talk somewhere else, please? He just nodded and left with Shinobu, but he was surprised to learn that she took him to his favorite place where he always went to sing. Tomioka. What did you want to talk about, Kacho-san? Shinobu. Well, Tomioka-san, I want to ask you to sing the song, please. Tomioka. And why would I do that? Shinobu. Just do it, please. Tomioka. Okay. And so he began to sing the song. He only thought that she wanted to make fun of him for singing, but he was only doing it because he would not see her anymore. Right in the middle of the song, Shinobu began to sing. He was surprised, but he continued singing. When I finished singing, I looked directly at Shinobu with a serious face. Tomioka. How do you know the song? Shinobu. Well, yesterday I was looking for you and I heard you singing and I started singing too, and if what they say about your song is true, that means we're destined to be together. Tomioka. I don't think so, I know you hate me, I'm sure Iguro told you how to get the song, and that's why you know it. Shinobu. First, Iguro-san didn't tell me anything about how to get the song, and second, the truth is that I don't hate you. Without realizing it, I've been feeling attracted to you. Tomioka. But then why were you bothering me? Shinobu. Well, you didn't talk much and I wanted you to talk more, and I saw that when I bother you tend to talk, that's why I bothered you. Tomioka. I see. Shinobu. And by the way, I know you're going to retire. Upon hearing this, Tomioka was surprised by what he had said. He hadn't told anyone other than Iguro. Tomioka. How do you know? Shinobu. The day you told me about my sister, I wanted to get revenge for what you said, so I went into your house and found your diary and read it. Tomioka. I understand. Shinobu. Please Tomioka-san don't go, she said with some tears coming out of her eyes. Tomioka. I would only be a hindrance to others, and as you said, everyone hates me. Shinobu. Tomioka-san, that's not true. Everyone doesn't hate you anymore after you help them, but I don't want you to leave, I. Tomioka. Yuhu, he said, somewhat surprised. Shinobu. Yotiemo Tomioka-san. She said it, already letting out the tears that threatened to come out. After saying that, Tomioka was surprised to see that she wasn't lying. He wasn't good at dealing with sentimental matters, but he just hugged her. Tomioka. Don't cry. Shinobu. Please Tomioka-san don't go, she said, still crying. Tomioka. But seriously, he couldn't finish because Shinobu interrupted him. Shinobu. You won't be a burden, but I want you to stay because I don't want to be alone again, but she couldn't stand it anymore and kissed him. When Shinobu kissed him, Tomioka didn't know what to do but accepted the kiss. He loved Shinobu too, but he thought she wouldn't accept it. They stayed like that for a while until they separated. Shinobu. Por favor no te vayas Giyuu-san. Tomioka. I won't do it anymore, Kacho-san. But that said, Shinobu hugged him tightly with a big smile on her face. Chapter 9. Love was the only thing visible between two people in a field as the moon illuminated them. These were Tomioka and Shinobu, who were sitting on the shore of the lake. Minutes before, Shinobu told Tomioka how she felt and he accepted her, seeing that he was no longer hated. He planned to tell the master tomorrow that he no longer wanted to retire. He now had a reason not to leave, and that reason was Shinobu, who, after hugging Tomioka for a while, fell asleep. Upon seeing this, Tomioka carried her bridal style to his estate. On the way, he reflected on how everything had been at the beginning, how everyone hated him, and how now he could finally be happy with his current partner, Shinobu. When he arrived at the butterfly estate, he knocked on the door and Kanao and Aoi came out and saw Tomioka holding Shinobu in his arms as she slept. Aoi. What happened? Tomioka. She fell asleep. He said very simply before leaving. The next morning, Shinobu woke up and was confused to find herself in her room. She remembered what had happened the night before and blushed, but now that she was Tomioka's girlfriend, she decided to get up and go to Tomioka's house. When she arrived, she quietly entered his house, and when she got to his room, she saw Tomioka still asleep. She didn't hesitate for a moment and opened the futon a little and lay down next to Tomioka, who was unconsciously still asleep, and hugged her. At this, Shinobu blushed, thinking Tomioka was awake, but seeing that he was still asleep, she just smiled, but it wasn't a fake smile like before, but a smile that showed she was truly happy, and without further ado, she returned the hug and fell asleep next to Tomioka. About 50 minutes passed and Tomioka began to wake up, but he felt something warm embracing him. With a little vision he had from waking up, he saw Shinobu on his futon next to him, but his surprise was even greater when he saw that he was also hugging her. When he saw that, he tried to get up, but he couldn't because Shinobu's grip was very strong. He tried to leave, but saw no other option than to wake Shinobu. He gently shook her until she woke up. Shinobu. Que pasa Giyuu-san? Tomioka. What are you doing here? Shinobu. Honey, upon hearing that, Tomioka was surprised. Now I'm your girlfriend and I can do whatever I want with you. Tomioka. But I left you at your farm. Shinobu. Well, I left there and came to sleep with you. Tomioka. Okay, but you can let me go. Shinobu. No. Tomioka. Because. Shinobu. I'm still sleepy and I want to sleep with you, she said with a slight blush on her cheeks. Tomioka. But. Shinobu. But whatever, you'll sleep with me whether you like it or not. Saying that, Tomioka sighed and went back to sleep on the futon with Shinobu. She had a victorious look on her face, but before falling asleep, Tomioka gave her a kiss on the lips. At first, she was surprised, but she accepted it and then they fell asleep. About 2 hours passed and they both woke up. Tomioka got up and went to the kitchen while Shinobu looked around his house. She noticed a patio and, curious, went to investigate. She saw a pond with blue flowers, which surprised her. She hadn't known Tomioka had a garden. She left and went to the kitchen, where she saw her boyfriend serving food. She sat down and they began to eat. Neither of them said anything, but Shinobu decided to break the silence. Shinobu. Hey Giyuu-san, can I ask you something? Tomioka. What's wrong? Shinobu. Well, I wanted to ask you, do you really love me? Tomioka was surprised by the question, but said. Tomioka. Why are you asking that, Kacho-san? Shinobu. Well, even if I sing the song, I don't know if you really love me. Tomioka. I see. With that said, he stood up and approached Shinobu and kissed her on the lips. She did not refuse. Shinobu. Why did you do that? She said, blushing. Tomioka. Because I do love you, Shinobu-san, and I think I always have, because I feel good when I'm by your side. When he said that, Shinobu shed a few tears and hugged him tightly. She was happy. The man she loved would finally be with her and she would never fall into loneliness again. Shinobu. Thank you. But that said, they both continued eating until Tomioka had to leave. Tomioka. Well, Shinobu-san, I have to go. Shinobu. Why? Tomioka. I have to tell the boss that I will no longer retire. Shinobu. Está bien, Giyuu-san. After saying that, Tomioka went to Oyakata. On the way, he met Michiro, who looked at him for a while and then hugged him. Tomioka. What's wrong, Michiro-san? Michiro. I'm just hugging my brother. Tomioka. Wait, what? Michiro. Ever since you helped me, I've considered you a brother. Tomioka. I see. Tomioka also hugged Michiro, who felt good about having a brother. Then they separated and Tomioka walked back towards Oyakata, and when he arrived he knocked on the door. Oyakata. Oh, what's wrong, Tomioka? Tomioka. Oyakata-sama, I wanted to tell you that I want to withdraw my request to leave the Demon Slayer Corps. Oyakata. And what made you change your mind? Tomioka. Phew, Shinobu. Oyakata. But didn't you and she hate each other? Tomioka. That was at the beginning, but now she is my current partner whom I don't want to leave alone. Oyakata. I see, I'm glad you changed your mind and are in a relationship with the insect pillar, but well, with what you just said, your retirement is cancelled. Tomioka. Thank you, Oyakata-sama. Chapter 10. After Tomioka asked the master to withdraw his request to leave the Demon Slayer Corps, he decided to go back home, where Shinobu was waiting for him with a surprise. On the way, he started thinking and without realizing it, he arrived home. When he opened the door, Shinobu greeted him with a hug. He accepted the hug, but Shinobu, in the time Tomioka was gone, remembered that when they went on missions, some village woman looked at him lustfully and she wanted to make it clear that Giyuu was hers and no one else's. She reached for his neck and kissed him, leaving a hickey. Giyuu let out a small moan when he felt that. Tomioka. Why did you do that? Shinobu. Well, Giyuu-san, I remembered that on missions many women looked at you and I want them to see who you belong to. Tomioka. Well then this won't bother you, giving her a hickey on her neck. She let out a moan as she felt Tomioka's lips on her neck. Shinobu. I think it's fair, she said, but she felt a feeling of lust building inside her that grew more and more with each second, and unable to stand it any longer, she took him to the room. Tomioka. Shinobu, what the, he couldn't finish because when they got to the room Shinobu kissed him while putting her tongue in, he accepted the kiss without protesting. 2 minutes passed and the lack of air became apparent, causing them to separate with a thin strand of saliva. Shinobu. Ah, that felt good. She said, breathing with some difficulty. Shinobu. But I'm not satisfied, she said with a mischievous face as she kissed him again, but grabbed his back, causing them both to fall onto the futon. When they fell, Shinobu was beneath Tomioka, continuing her wet kisses, but she began to remove his clothes, and Tomioka, noticing this, also began to remove her clothes. They both simply continued to give in to their lust. You can imagine the rest. The next morning they were both on the futon and naked. Shinobu was the first to wake up and couldn't help but be surprised to realize her current state, but she remembered what happened the night before and couldn't help but blush, but she simply went back to sleep lying on Tomioka's chest, who was still asleep. About 2 hours passed and they both woke up. Neither of them said anything, but Tomioka stroked her head and Shinobu closed her eyes to feel Tomioka's touch on her head and to her surprise, she began to purr. About 2 minutes passed like that and then they both got up and dressed to go to the boss's place to do a mission. When they arrived, the boss gave them both a mission to kill a demon that was in the mountains and they assumed it was a moon because several hunters had disappeared. The two went there and when they arrived they saw that it was a lower moon, they had no trouble eliminating it and decided to return, but Shinobu began to feel unwell. Tomioka. Shinobu, what's wrong? He said worriedly. Shinobu. I feel dizzy, but I can walk. They both walked to the infirmary at the butterfly farm. When they arrived, Tomioka left her there to be examined and to see what was wrong with her. A few minutes passed and the results came in. Tomioka. What's wrong? He asked, worried. Shinobu. Well Giyuu-san, you know that I love you and want to be with you for a long time. Tomioka. Yes, I know. Shinobu. Well, I want you to know that I'm pregnant with your child, she said, very nervous about Tomioka's response. Tomioka. Well, I think it was something that was going to happen because of what we did last night. Shinobu. So you agree to have this child with me? Tomioka. Yes, in fact I was thinking about having a family with you. When she said that, Shinobu hugged her tightly. Chapter 11, Final. Note. This is the last chapter one will write for this theory. I may write a new theory that is somehow connected to this one, but I'll think about that. I won't bother you any longer, enjoy. We find ourselves at the butterfly estate where a woman is currently giving birth to a baby girl. This woman is Shinobu Kacho, who is giving birth to her daughter, the fruit of the love she shared with her partner, Giyuu Tomioka. But first, let's talk about how this couple spent the months during Shinobu's pregnancy. 4 months earlier. We can see Shinobu in a made bed, she was resting since in her pregnant state she couldn't move much, and next to her were Aoi, Kanao and Tomioka, they were always with her in case she needed anything. To tell the truth it was very complicated to take care of Shinobu since she was always hungry or her emotions changed a lot, making it difficult to speak to her without offending her, but at that moment the boss called for a meeting. When they arrived at the meeting they saw how the boss was very serious. Boss. It's good that you've arrived. Tsunemi. What's wrong, Oyakata-sama? Boss. Well, you see, one of my hunters has obtained information about Muzan. Himejima. And what have they achieved? Boss. Well, they managed to find out that Muzan will attack us in 6 months because they say there is a plant here that will make him immune to the sun. Tsunemi. Then we don't have much time left. Boss. Yes, I have a plan, but many will die, and I will too. This plan involves Muzan exploding here, weakening him enough for you to finish him off. Tomeo has even created a cure to turn him back into a human, so he can die once and for all. The guru. Then he will sacrifice himself, he said sadly, just like the others. Boss. Yes, my children, besides, there isn't much time left because of my illness. Everyone was sad, but especially one couple, since they knew that Muzan's attack could kill them, and worse, their baby was due soon. They didn't know what to do and decided to discuss it at the butterfly estate. Once there, they were both very serious. Shinobu. Giyuu-san, we will do Muzan's attack in 6 months, and there are only a few months left until our baby is born. Tomioka. I don't know, Shinobu, I don't know what to do. The only thing we could do is leave him with another family and hope to survive the attack. Shinobu. But I want to spend time with my daughter. Tomioka. Shinobu, you know there's very little chance of surviving Muzan, although you'll be able to spend time with her for 2 months, since there are only 4 months left and Muzan's attack will be in 6 months, so you'll have some time. Shinobu. I don't think there's a choice. They both reluctantly accepted that option, but they knew there were no other choices. Months passed as each pillar trained like never before to be able to kill Muzan. Back to the present. Shinobu was pushing as hard as she could, but the pain was unbearable. Giyuu was suffering the most because his hand was breaking as Shinobu squeezed it. Aoi. Come on Shinobu-san, you can do it. Hanao. Come on Shinobu-nisan. Everyone supported Shinobu until the baby finally came out. It was a girl with black hair and purple tips, she looked just like her mother, but when she opened her eyes, they saw that she had one purple eye and one blue eye like the sea. Aoi. She's a beautiful girl, Shinobu-san. Shinobu. I want to see her, she said somewhat weakly as she was exhausted. Aoi. Here you go. She handed it to the girl, and Shinobu couldn't help but shed a few tears. She was happy to see her daughter. Tomioka also saw the girl and also shed a few tears. Shinobu. She's very beautiful, don't you think, Giyuu-san? Tomioka. Yes, it is, he said very happily. The two were thinking of a name for their daughter, but none of them liked it until a name came to them both. Tomioka Shinobu. Kani. Hanao. What? Shinobu. This girl's name will be Kani Kacho Tomioka. After naming her, they both stayed in the room. They both wanted to spend as much time as possible with their daughter since they knew they wouldn't be able to spend time with her for the next 2 months. 2 months passed, and during that time Tomioka and Shinobu had found a way to see their daughter if it died. They created a kind of necklace in the shape of a purple butterfly, flying against a background that resembled water. They placed a portion of their energy into this necklace, forming a kind of pact that meant if they both died, their souls would pass into this necklace and they could be reunited with their daughter. There was even a possibility that their souls could inhabit another body identical to their own. But the day the hunters had been waiting for had arrived. Muzan had reached the master's house and everything went as they expected. Muzan exploded and was badly injured, and at that moment Tomeo injected him with the potion. All the pillars attacked him, but they were transported to Muzan's realm. Everything happened as in the original story, and I forgot to mention that Tanjiro and his friends are there, I just didn't give them a leading role in this story. When Tanjiro stabbed Muzan with his sword, Muzan was transforming into a giant baby to escape, but just as Tanjiro was about to be absorbed by Muzan, Tomioka pushed him back and sacrificed himself, dying instantly without ever seeing his daughter again. He left her with Aoi and a note telling her where to take her so she could live a normal life, but before dying, he was able to say a few last words. Tomioka. I will meet you Shinobu and Kanikacho Tomioka live. End. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown in left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.